Our final presentation today will be some concluding remarks by Dr. Mohammed Ahmad about the Holy Quran being a great spiritual force. Some of you may know Dr. Ahmad along with his wife, Lubna Ahmad, as active members in the interfaith community who also both volunteer as outside brothers and sisters in the Horizon Prison Initiative. Dr. Ahmad is the president of the Lahore Ahmadiyya Islamic Society, and it is under his leadership that we are doing all the work that was reported on in the previous presentation. I present to you Dr. Mohammed Ahmad.
Just 15 more minutes to go, my friends. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I seek refuge of Allah from the accursed devil. I seek the assistance of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to share some thoughts on the Holy Quran with all of you today. The Holy Quran claims to be a great spiritual force, the object of which is to bring humanity to perfection. It opens with the words, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, praise be to Allah, the nourisher of the worlds, to perfection. And it ends with the words, say, I seek refuge with the nourisher of mankind to perfection. And this is the theme throughout the Holy Book. It calls itself a Ruh, or the Spirit, which gives life to humanity, and time and again compares itself to water, which gives life to the dead earth. This giving of life to the dead earth is a constant theme of the Holy Quran, and it is full of repeated assurances that the dead earth will be raised to a spiritual life. It calls itself as Shifa, or healing, to show that it heals all the spiritual diseases of humanity. It calls itself a dhikr, or a source of eminence to mankind. It calls itself a nur, or the light, which will ultimately dispel all darkness from the surface of the earth. It calls itself al-haq, or the truth, which will ultimately take hold of the minds of men and before which falsehood will vanish. It calls itself al-huda, or the guidance, which will make men ultimately attain the goal of life. It goes further and lays claim to the fact that its spiritual lessons can win the hearts of people. This claim was proven true during the life of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. Within a span of 23 years, the Holy Quran wrought an unparalleled spiritual transformation that caused a change in the lives of an entire nation. The Quran found the Arabs worshippers of idols, stones, trees, heaps of sand, and yet within less than a quarter of a century, the worship of the one God ruled the whole country, idolatry being wiped out from one end to the other. It swept away all superstitions and gave in their place a religion based on reason and rationality. The Arab who prided himself in his ignorance had become the lover of knowledge, drinking deep at every fountain of learning to which he could have access. This was the direct effect of the teachings of the Holy Quran, which not only appealed to reason, but declared man's thirst for knowledge to be insatiable when it directed the Holy Prophet himself to pray, "O my Lord, increase me in knowledge." Not only had the Quran swept away the deep vices and immorality of the Arabs, it also inspired them with a burning desire for the best and noblest deeds in the service of humanity. The immoral actions of burying alive the female child, the marrying of one's own stepmother, and deprivation of rights of the weak had given place to equal respect for the offspring, whether male or female, to equal rights of the most vulnerable members of society, and in placing the highest value on doing good to others. Drunkenness, to which Arabia had been addicted from time immemorial, disappeared so entirely that the very goblets and vessels which were used for drinking and keeping wine could no more be found. And greatest of all, from an Arabia, the various elements of which were so constantly at war that with one another, that the whole country was about to perish, being caught on the brink of a pit of fire, as the Holy Quran so beautifully and so tersely puts it. From an Arabia full of these jarring and warring elements, the Quran welded together a nation, a united nation, full of life and vigor. The Quran effected a transformation of humanity from the lowest depths of degradation to the highest pinnacle of civilization within an incredibly short period of time, where centuries of Reformation work had proved fruitless. To its unparalleled success, testimony is borne of this fact by even the harshest of critics. For example, William Mayor states in his book, Life of Mohammed, quote, "From time beyond memory, Makkah and the whole peninsula had been steeped in spiritual torpor. 13 years before the Hijrah, Mecca lay lifeless in this debased state. What a change had these 13 years now produced. It was not until they heard the spirit-stirring strains of the Arabian prophet that they too awoke from their slumber and sprang suddenly into a new and earnest life. The marvelous effect produced by the Holy Quran on the minds of those who first came into contact with it, the unparalleled revolution brought about in the world, the uplift of not one but many nations from the depth of degradation to the height of civilization is, however, not the only characteristics which establishes its claim to uniqueness. It possesses two other characteristics equally unique: the wealth of ideas and beauty of style. These two combined with the effect it produced are three things which raise the Quran to a universally accepted height of eminence. In fact, the effect produced by the Holy Quran is not a mystery. It was merely the greatness and reasonableness of the ideas, clothed in the best of forms, that appealed to the heart of man and, taking deep root in it, became the driving power to the great goal of life. A blaze of light was cast on all the great questions which had puzzled man, and the way was thus cleared for onward march and progress. Hence, one of the names by which the Holy Book speaks of itself is Al-Burhan, or the clear argument, showing that argument was the weapon which is used to conquer the heart of man. And as it appealed to reason and not to sentiment, its conquests were so far-reaching and permanent that it swept away all mysteries and dispelled all darkness. It is also called Al-Bayan, or the explanation, indicating that it had removed all obscurities in spiritual matters. It claimed not only to have stated all religious truths needed for the moral and spiritual advancement of man, but also to have dealt with all the objections to its truth. As it states in the Holy Quran, "And they cannot bring thee a question, but we have brought thee the truth and the best explanation." These grand life-giving ideas contained in the Quran were clothed in an equally impressive outer garb. The style and diction of the Quran have been universally praised. In the introduction to his translation of the Holy Quran, George Sale writes, "The Quran is universally allowed to be written with the utmost elegance and purity of language in the dialect of the tribe of Quraysh, the most noble of the and polite of all Arabians, but with some mixture, though very rare, of other dialects. It is confessedly the standard of Arabic tongue. What establishes the Quran's claim to uniqueness, even in the outward form, apart from its subject, and the effect produced is the permanent hold that it has kept on Arabic language itself. It remains forever the standard by which the beauty of style and diction may be judged in the Arabic literature. One will be hard-pressed to find any other book in the world credited with even the achievement of keeping alive a language for 13 centuries. The Quran, however, has done this, attaining to the eminence of being the standard of eloquence for so long and of retaining that position while the nations speaking it emerged from oblivion to set the world on the trajectory to modern civilization. In the past century, we have seen glimpses of a similar reformation. This awakening was again a result of the Holy Quran, but presented in the form of the English translation and commentary for by Maulana Muhammad Ali in the West. Whether it was in the heart of European society in England or in the spread of the teachings of Islam in American community here at home, Maulana Muhammad Ali's English translation and commentary of the Holy Quran was a source of spiritual revival for many, as was discussed in the presentations earlier today. The principles and interpretations contained in this work are needed in many other parts of the world. That is why we engage in the work of translation and distribution of this translation and commentary in all regions of the globe to continue this great legacy of spiritual revival, as was just reported in the presentation by Samina Malik. I would like to end by reading to you a passage from one of Maulana Muhammad Ali's sermons. In this passage, he explains how to nurture the love of the Holy Quran in the heart of the believer. He states, "There is no benefit in reciting the Holy Quran hurriedly. It should be recited slowly with attention and careful thought given to its meaning. What is remiss from the recitation of the Holy Quran these days is precisely the absence of this mode of recitation. When a person recites the Holy Quran repeatedly, it begins to have its effect upon him. Those who are not in the habit of reading it frequently cannot get much benefit from it, nor can their perusal be useful. The Holy Quran has an effect upon the heart of every individual, no matter what condition the person is in. Whether someone recites it in a state of difficulty or comfort, it definitely affects the heart. Problem is, people do not try to comprehend its meaning or concentrate upon it. They recite it in their prayers merely as a burden to be fulfilled. Real pleasure cannot be drawn from it without understanding and thoughtful perusal. That is why Allah the Most High states, and recite the Quran in a leisurely manner. وَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا. I thank you for your attendance today, and I ask you, please keep us and our works in your prayers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ahmad. That brings us to the end of the program today. Just a quick announcement. I usually make this announcement at lunch, but we're going to be making a free copy of the pocket-size edition of Maulana Muhammad Ali's Quran translation available at the desk just outside the doors. If anyone is interested, feel free to pick up your copy on your way out. We really hope you enjoyed yourself today and you learned something. And once again, thank you for honoring us with your presence and your participation. Thank you.